The most painful part isn't when they say goodbye. It's when they slowly pull their hand away from yours without saying a word. No arguments, no anger. Just, they don't lean on you the way they used to. They don't melt into your arms like they once did. Their gaze no longer lingers. And every time you try to hold them, a part of them is already gone. You still love them. You're still there, still keeping the same habits, as if holding on to something quietly slipping away. But the person you love is drifting from you, bit by bit, in silence. And then you start asking yourself, how do you hold someone who no longer wants to be touched? How do you hold on without gripping too tight? How do you love without making them feel trapped? This video won't give you answers, but it will gently invite you into a space where hugging isn't about holding on, but about saying, I'm still here, even if you're not as close anymore. There's no specific day, no dramatic change, just one quiet moment when you suddenly realize they're sitting next to you, but the space between you feels longer than any road. They still reply to your texts, still smile when you look at them, still say, I love you like always, but deep in their eyes, there's something that no longer belongs to you. You try to ignore it, try to believe it's just a phase, that everyone gets tired sometimes, that if you're just patient enough, loving enough, if you hold on tight enough, everything will go back to how it used to be. But then, you start to feel like you're the only one trying. She pulls her hand away a little sooner. The hugs get shorter. Her eyes no longer linger. And you begin to fear that every time you touch her, you're touching someone who's slowly slipping away. Maybe she's not trying to hurt you. Maybe she doesn't know how to say, I'm slowly not here anymore. So you hold her tighter, love her harder, hug her longer. But the harder you try to hold on, the more helpless you feel. Because what you truly need isn't just her arms, it's her presence within them. What you're losing isn't just her, it's the invisible connection that once made the two of you feel like you were enough, just by being together. And then you realize, sometimes loving someone doesn't mean pulling them back. It means having the courage to reach for someone who's slipping away without trying to drag them closer. Just so they know, even if you step back, my arms are still open. At some point, you'll realize, holding on tighter doesn't make someone stay. You can cling to their hand, but you can't hold on to their heart if it's already searching for another place to rest. You can say, I love you 1,000 times, but if they no longer feel safe with you, every word becomes an echo, a lonely sound between two strangers. And then you learn to love differently, not with words, not with effort, but with quiet, steady presence. You still hug them, but you don't squeeze tight. You stay, but you don't try to pull them back. You let the hug become a silent message. I don't know where you're going in your heart, but if you get tired, if you turn around, I'm still here, not to hold you back, but to be someone who stayed. A hug like that doesn't create miracles. It doesn't guarantee love will return, but it gives the one you love something rare, something most people don't have the patience to give. The right to step away, the right to be unsure, the right to walk back without fear of guilt or pressure. Because sometimes, love is the courage to stay still while the one you love is turning away. To hug them, not to hold on, but to remind them they're still loved, even when they don't know if they deserve it. That's a hug with no demands, no expectations, no need for a reply, just presence. And sometimes, that kind of unconditional presence is the very thing that brings someone back when the world outside is just too cold to stay in for long. Sometimes, the last hug doesn't happen at an airport. There are no tears, just a quiet afternoon between two people who still love each other. But know deep down, they're no longer walking the same path. You hug them, not to change anything, not to convince them to stay, but simply to touch them one last time with a love that no longer tries to control the outcome. A hug like that has no promises, no future attached, just a stillness, so beautiful it tightens your throat. You know they're leaving, emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically, but instead of blocking their way, you choose to send them off with an embrace that holds no blame. You don't hold on anymore, but you still choose to connect with every last bit of kindness left in you. That hug won't make them stay, but it will shape how they remember you. That you weren't selfish, that you didn't beg or guilt them with tears, that you loved the right way, even in the very last second. And maybe, one day, when they look back, they won't remember exactly what you said, but they'll remember how it felt in your arms. A hug that didn't carry fear, but only acceptance and peace. Maybe you couldn't keep them, but you kept something far more powerful. The grace in how you let go of someone you once loved deeply. And that's something very few people have the courage to do. To give one final hug, not out of expectation, but out of love and dignity. There are people we love, not to keep, but to let go. To send them off with a hug so kind that when they walk away, they carry a piece of our softness without feeling guilty for leaving. Because love isn't always about how we begin. Sometimes it's about how we part, with dignity, with respect still intact. If you've ever hugged someone at the exact moment you knew they no longer belonged to you, and still you held them without trembling, without blame, just so they would know, even if you leave, you are still loved. Then you've given one of the purest forms of love there is, a love not everyone is strong enough to offer. Maybe you're going through that right now, or maybe you've been there before. If this video touches a corner of your memory, a moment where someone turned away while you still had your arms open, share that story. And if you want to keep hearing the things no one ever taught us, but everyone should know, just to live more gently, subscribe. Not because we're trying to heal the world, but because we're learning how to love without breaking ourselves, even when we can't keep the one we love most.